It's Chainsaw Tuesday, and it is finally over. Asa over, fellows. The war between Asa haters and Asa lovers has ended, and the Asa lovers stand victorious. Not only that, but the Denji haters too have lost, as our boy has finally grown up. But did Fujimoto secretly just let us know that Chainsaw Man Part 3 is real and it is happening? Maybe. We'll break it all down in this video and much more. Use code CTACTICS to get 10% off all of your Gamer Subs orders. I recommend Jujutsu Kaisen Cursed Energy and a waifu cup of your choice. Every purchase gives me a commission to help support what I do here. 219 picks up from 218, in which we see the aftermath of Pochita beheading Miro Sugo, Lil D, and Fami. Yoru is not happy about it at all, and so as she herself is beheaded for the millionth time, she fires a good old bong into Pochita. So while they continue to fight within the alley, Asa Mitaka is up to here with this bull, but Denji reminds her that he cannot control what Pochita is doing, much like how Asa cannot control what Yoru is doing. Let me tell you, viewer, it was right about this time. I got some butterflies in my chest and stomach. Oh my god. I just knew that this chapter was about to hit different, and it did. As Asa resolves herself to failure, she says, quote, "It's Jover. Oh, fuck. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. It's Asa over." And I may have embellished that, but my excuse is that I don't have one. Asa feels as if they are doomed because she can't stop Yoru and she can't save Denji. She has failed in, well, her life goal, if you think about it. Even when she tries to do the noble thing to sacrifice herself, even then she cannot succeed. And for good reason, lads. As I said in the last chapter, I think the odds of Asa dying at this point are so low, even Cuomo would probably cry. So we get the absolute best image of child Denji ever as he has a Eureka moment. Denji has finally figured out the dilemma that I've theorized about for so long. A bunch of people have been trying to lead Denji around in the directions they want to go, and thus he sees the actions of Pochita by beheading the sisters in Swordbu as a message directly to Denji. And let me tell you something, viewer, I feel so freaking vindicated over the weeks, months, and long years. Constantly being told by people in my comments every week, from people who ironically cannot stop reading Chainsaw Man, that this series is cooked, doomed, and a shell of its former self. So allow me, please, to have a mental health moment here and relish. Don't worry, you can join it too. So Denji says that their dreams individually are to lead a normal life. This is a direct callback to Chapter 1 of Chainsaw Man and Chapter 98 of Chainsaw Man. Denji's introduction and Asa's introduction. For Denji, this is what we've always really talked about, right? Like his idea of a normal life is to play games, eat good grub, and find a cute girl to chill out and hang out with. For Asa, it was to escape from her eternal pit of despair that she had found herself in, for which it was getting darker and darker, so she sought a way out, which was suicide, which I guess she got to live out the goal of last chapter, you could say. Kind of dark, but I'm glad it didn't work, but still, she herself did eventually find that outlet for her to escape, and it seems to be Denji. So Denji figures that the symbolism behind his actions was to tell him that he should make their own world together. And just like how it hits Asa like a bag of trucks, it as well hit me like a sack of cars. This is literally what I've been saying for years now. The ultimate point behind Part 2 is for Denji to finally realize that he can create his own reality and take things back into his own hands. And for Asa to take back her autonomy and control over her own body and, well, life. Part 2 is finally coalescing into the story it was always trying to get to. Brick by brick, we have arrived at a core pillar of both of our main characters, a core story arc, finally blossoming. Remember, everyone, be patient. All will come in time. It may not seem like it at first. It's very frustrating, but patience is a virtue and something that will make you much happier in life. It's okay if a story takes a second to arrive at the point. That's kind of the point of telling a story, is it not? And by the way, if you were one of those very annoying and negative people, all is forgiven, water under the bridge. Come, join us. Be positive with us, chainsaw folk. We love it. Ugh, did I say chainsaw folk? I didn't mean it like that. So Denji offers his hand to Asa as he is now symbolically represented in his current adult form and school uniform. He appeals to Asa in the only way he knows how to by offering a hand and acknowledging that they're fellow parent killers. This clearly affected Asa deeply, and I think it all comes down to how Denji chose to communicate this to her. Through what they share in common. This is important to do and could only really work between these two characters, because now Asa shouldn't feel like she is alone anymore, which is massive. They both have gone through a lot of common struggle and traumatic, moments that effectively either saved them or doomed them, and with no real in-between. This is the connection these two characters needed, the spark, the catalyst to unite both War and Chainsaw and Asa and Denji, if you want to look at it that way. But this is Asa, and so she begins to reject Denji's help initially, and even begins to cry again. She can't accept his help because she believes that she is a dangerous war devil, and she can't control the war inside of her head, which is fair, to be honest. So once again, Denji understands finally what the right answer is and how to communicate it to Asa. He relates because he himself is Chainsaw Man, who is arguably even more dangerous than Yoru is, which is why Denji reassures her that he and Pochita would kill Yoru for her if she ever became a problem. Guys, this was a freaking phenomenal chapter just for this interaction alone, because this is the culmination of years of work in both Part 1 and especially Part 2 bubbling up and paying off. From here on out, Asa and Denji should be getting to a point where they are a unified front who rely on one another. I also think we're going to see more of a focus and acceptance with their feelings for each other. I think Denji is going to do Denji stuff and be like, "Rad, I got a girlfriend, yo." Well, Asa is, she's going to be Asa-tistic about it. I also think it means we will see much more teamwork and coherent decision-making now that there are two autistic brains working in unison, sort of like taking two slices of pizza and stacking them on top of each other. More is more in this case. But the jury is still out if this just means more big brain or more Osatism. My guess is that I'm hungry for some reason. So, Yoru is just one funny gal, isn't she? She carefully puts D back on B and chastises C for nearly killing D and triggering the A. I mean, that was confusing. The best part is, as Yoru holds D's face, she's all meep and she's like, "Thanks for the save, Yoru. Elbow." And Yoru is like, "I did not do it for you, swine." But still, D is insistent that despite that, she is grateful because, what is this? Devil? Showing human emotion? She doesn't want to die. Why? Because she's excited for the school festival, of course. God damn it, it's always the school festival. This was just so freaking adorbs and totes, and I loved it. It does show that there is a capacity for change in these devils, and they can even potentially fear death itself. Not the meep herself, but the concept of dying. I mean, it's not the biggest shift for D or really any of the devils, since we've seen since the beginning of the Aging Devil arc that this is how her character probably would eventually arrive at. So if you think about it, this chapter has the evolution of 3 characters: Asa, Denji, and Lil D. So Yoru, being an asshole, only hears an opportunity. She saved D, so that means D belongs to her now. She is going to turn her own sister into a weapon for her to wage war. What? We know from her turning her children, I guess when you put it into perspective, right? Maybe D's not that bad, relatively speaking. But she has crossed that line, so she probably could easily do it once more. Plus, if you think about it, there's no reason for her not to, right? I also think this coming to fruition would make Yoru nigh unstoppable and beyond comprehension in terms of the levels of fear and thus power she would have over everything. Think about it. Only she would be able to control death, and thus would negate Pochita's erasures. But we'll talk about that more later. But we get this awesome shot with Fujimoto bringing back those hatch lines for the nose bridges, which I haven't seen him do in a very long time in this series, at least this consistently. I always loved it when he would do this because it always makes his characters feel so unique. Fujimoto, honestly, though, is just so good at drawing human faces in ways that are gratifying to look at, so not too surprising. But Yoru says that death is her domain, and since enjoying death made her weak, that she has decided that there is no way they could ever befriend a human. She feels that D has disgraced the Sisters of the Apocalypse, and she deserves to be punished, but not to die. So she will turn D into a weapon of hers until it is time for D to serve her next role in her never-ending goal of world domination. So we are absolutely going to talk about this in the theory section, and honestly, if I have time, I think I could make an entire video about this one sentence alone, but exams are coming up, so probably not. Please, in the comments, give me your energy. I would greatly appreciate it. But this reveals so damn much about Yoru, and I think directly confirms that Fujimoto is far, and I mean far, from done with Chainsaw Man. I don't think it's 100% just yet, but I think we're at like 85% likely Part 3 is coming, and it may be coming very soon. In the words of a great man, myself, yippee! So she calls out Death's sword, and just as this happens, Pochita eats D in the quickest chomp ever. I mean, listen, I love eating just as much as anyone, but not even I could eat that fast. But there are two major takeaways, and one of them I have seen very few people mention. The first is that if Pochita eats D, then nobody can die, and thus would allow Yoru to wage an eternal war where nobody wins, nobody loses. This could play right into Yoru's hand, as I think Yoru wants nobody to die, but, and the big but here is that, take a good look at this image again. Did you notice it? You did? Well, of course you did. Good job. Pochita just ate Yoru's children, technically, so what if he ate Gun and Tank in the future, effectively erasing them? I wonder what that would do to Yoru's overall power level if it were to happen. But, well, either way, Pochita pissed off Mama Bear because she is angry that Pochita ate Big Sis. Honestly, I just love writing these videos for Chainsaw Man because I get to say the most just stupidest shit that appeals to my bipolar disorder and thus my autism. So, I think this chapter is hinting at the future of the series having a major role for the four horsewomen. I think in some form or fashion, Death, Famine, and especially Yoru and Control could all be together in this arc. Control is the big one because it is, from a symbolic standpoint, the most important to the series overall. Whatever comes after Makima and Nayuta kinda just has to hit and be great, and I think Fujimoto has set himself up so well to lead into the future of the series with those four people playing major roles. Maybe the biggest hint is the fact that the four horsewomen of the apocalypse. So will they eventually come together in this goal of the apocalypse? I mean, it's kind of clear that the apocalypse is happening right now in Chainsaw Man, right? Either way, we know from this chapter Lil D and Fami are not on Yoru's side, so what then? I don't know. I don't know how we would even get to that point, so what do you guys think? Another big fat theory for you, I think Yoru specifically stating that she has a plan for Lil D is the biggest line out of this chapter, even more so than Asa and Denji accepting their lot in life and coming together over me. This is so big, or at least could be, that I think on the basis alone we should start to accept that part 3 is going to happen. Like I said, 85% sure after this chapter, because this to me was a tease. When Yoru gets her hands on Death and harvests the power of her sister or sisters, then we have a real problem. Just imagine it. If Yoru can take control of any of these horsewomen, then it becomes guaranteed that pretty much the only person with a even remote shot at stopping Yoru is Pochita, and Pochita alone. I don't even think Chainsaw Man could do a single thing. Okay, so that's probably a little bit of a confusing statement, so let me explain a bit better. The black Chainsaw Man form is the only thing that could stop Yoru, and I think Denji in his hybrid form probably wouldn't be able to do much. So what if a big part of part 3 is Denji learning to better harness the powers of Black Chainsaw Man for himself? What if, and hear me out, what if a core concept of Part 3 is regurgitating the devils within Pochita to bring back into existence power concepts that could be used as allies for Pochita and Denji? I'm really just spitballing here and kind of ADHDing all over the place, because if Yoru is able to keep enacting her plans, which she somehow has more of and isn't satisfied with only being the strongest devil in existence, what do they need to do to ensure they as well gain power? I think a key, like I said, could just be harnessing Black Chainsaw Man as an evolution of Denji's Chainsaw Man hybrid form so that he himself can control it. We also should build upon Asa and Denji's relationship in Part 3. I think largely it will look more like a well-oiled machine, but I have a question. How will Asa and Denji connect if Yoru is still an active threat? Because they can't exactly be together if Yoru is in control and, well, the main villain of the series who is out of control and evil. I could see the two interacting through the alley as a means of connecting these two characters further, but I don't know, that may be a little bleh. So a large part of what Asa and Denji will look like probably will depend on how Part 2 ends. I mean, who knows? Maybe Fujimoto is planning to end Part 2 with Yoru's decisive defeat at the hands of a stronger enemy, whether that be Chainsaw Man or an as-of-yet introduced devil, maybe. Maybe this is where we see the return of Kobeni. Maybe Kobeni was forced by her family to either become a cam girl or the ultimate ruler of planet Earth. And she somehow thought that would still be the better choice. I'm gonna say it. Kobeni supremacy, anyone? Anyone? Anyways, yeah, I think from here on out, we should be getting in some form or fashion more and more romance put into this series. It's only been, 150, 160 chapters since we've had a romantic arc. The last one I could think of was, it's the Reze arc, which is arguably still the best arc to many people. So I am very excited about how Fujimoto is going to portray a romance, and I am very glad he isn't just doing a kiss and then off-screening, the more interesting stuff. I also think this romance could be much more unique than the Reze arc was. I think Fujimoto could really play up how easily Asa and Denji could get on each other's nerves and work out their kinks of their relationship, both as a budding friendship and something more romantic. Basically, I wonder if they'll butt heads because, Asa thinks a lot and Denji thinks very little. So I could see Asa just as how she acts in the past around Denji, being utterly baffled and angry at his simple-minded solutions or plans. Honestly, I'm just looking forward to it, that's all. So the big one, is Lil D dead? I love the alliteration. I'm gonna be real, maybe not. I can't really make up my mind with this one. I think for one thing, it would be smart for Pochita to eat Lil D because it keeps Yoru away from becoming the arbiter of who gets to die, because yeah, being in control of the concept of death is kind of OP. Yoru may be able to control how people permanently die. That's an issue. That would equal out the powers between Pochita and Yoru, because Yoru could effectively erase something as Pochita can through death, which is much different, but as effective as erasure. It could also mean that Yoru will bring people back to life or concepts back to life, because death is just a form of birth. Think of it from this perspective. What if Yoru brought back Makima to fight Denji? Even worse, what if she brought back Hime Nation? The idea of Yoru controlling death is very frightening and could very well be an avenue the series is headed towards. Will Pochita swallow D and erase her? Maybe, maybe not. But there is a very real and good reason to erase her that trumps the reasons, honestly, to keep her in existence. At least from my perspective. Join my Discord. We are well moderated and a group of very nice people. You can check out more Chainsaw Man content here. If you made it to the end of the video, then comment a pair of orange hearts. Make it a great day or not. The choice is yours.